Hi there. It's September the 14th and we're continuing our journey through the prophecies of Isaiah. In Hebrew, Yeshayahu means the Lord will save. And we've come to chapters 15 to 18. Now, these chapters are part of the unfolding declarations or decrees against various nations. In chapter 15 and 16, the nation that is in sight of this declaration is Moab. Now, Moab is down to the southeast of Judah. It's across the Dead Sea. And particularly Moab was at one time in tribute to Judah and to Israel, but they have sought to cast that off and actually have made alliances against Israel and Judah. Now they are coming under judgment and will be completely destroyed. There's a weeping and there's a wailing in their cities. There's a suggestion at the beginning of chapter 16 that perhaps exiles and refugees from Moab will be received in Judah as a sign of mercy, as a sign of God's mercy upon them, and the fact that they are a distantly related nation. But then in chapter 17, there's an oracle, or there's a declaration against, starting off with Damascus in Syria, but also against Ephraim. And Ephraim represents Israel, the northern kingdom, because Ephraim, the tribe of Ephraim, was a large part of that northern kingdom. And so Ephraim is named. And particularly Damascus will be brought to nothing, but particularly Israel will be called back to the Lord. It's clear that there is a place of returning to God, there is a place of coming back to the Lord, and that there will be left what Isaiah calls grapes for gleaning, that there will be again this theme of the remnant of some left over who will return. So this is not just to destroy that God is doing this, but he's doing it to call his people back to himself. And then in chapter 18, there's a reference to Ethiopia. In this short chapter, a reference to the land of Ethiopia, which is really quite a distance away beyond Egypt. And perhaps this incorporates the nations of the world. It's looking wider, on a wider panorama. It's looking across the nations, particularly with reference to the continuing diaspora, the continuing exile that's being experienced by the people of God throughout the nations. And particularly at the end of chapter 18, there's this sense of the nations giving up the people of Israel and Judah and them returning after the deluge that comes upon them, and that there will be a restoration. God's eye is over all of the nations, and the troubles that come upon nations are not there to punish or to harm, but actually to bring God's life eventually, to bring his order and his justice. And even today, when we see the nations in such upheaval, God's heart of love is still towards the nations, calling us constantly to turn to him, constantly to seek his face, constantly to come back to the Father, so that out of our distress we seek a place of his face, we seek a place of his presence. Let's be doing that for our nations and for ourselves today. Have a very good September the 14th.